Hi, I'm Grace and I work for Teenage Cancer Trust. Teenage Cancer Trust is just the most brilliant charity. Our vision is a world where cancer doesn't stop young people living their lives. And our purpose here at Teenage Cancer Trust is that we want to improve young people's experience of living with cancer. Now, we do that in a number of ways. So we do that physically, mentally, and emotionally. We want to make sure that our young people are put in absolutely the best place when they are diagnosed with cancer. So we do that in a number of ways. We have our specialist unit. So we put them in a physically different place, which is a physical space which is unique to young people and teenagers. And that's on hospital wards. And these spaces look amazing. They don't feel like a hospital ward. They are painted really differently, lots of different colours, lots of calming colours. And we have lots of activities and things on our units for young people to do to just stop that boredom for when they are in hospital. Things like PS4s, we have musical instruments on the ward, and we have a kitchen so that our young people can come together and speak to one another. We also have the most incredible nurses who are experts in teenage and young adult cancer, and they offer the best support, expertise and care to our young people and to their families as well. And alongside them, we also have our support teams. So they're our youth support coordinators, and they work alongside our nurses to make sure that our young people have the very best support for their cancer diagnosis and beyond. So they liaise with schools, they liaise with universities, and they also put on brilliant social events to offer that peer-to-peer support. As well as that, our support teams offer residentials for young people to get together and enjoy themselves, just again as a way in which they can remember that they are young people and not a cancer patient in a bed receiving treatment. So we are 100% funded, voluntarily funded. So that means we receive no government funds whatsoever. All of the money that comes to Teenage Cancer Trust is raised by volunteers, people who decide to go and do something incredible, raise funds and send it to us. So these are people who are running marathons or climbing mountains or doing a bake sale at school, or they are getting their work colleagues to do something incredible. We apply to trusts and foundations sometimes, and we have a number of companies who sponsor us as well. It's every single penny comes from people like that, and I don't know where we would be without their kindness and their generosity. I suppose from my perspective, I've worked for Teenage Cancer Trust for the last 4 years, and I can't tell you how privileged I am to work for such the most brilliant organisation. It's an absolute privilege to work with young people and see how incredible they are. Young people are incredible anyway, but they are already experiencing so many changes, so many differences, so much change, through puberty, through relationships, through careers, schools, universities, everything. And it's a really wonderful feeling to know that once a cancer diagnosis is thrown into that, it can turn their lives into chaos. It's so nice to know that we as an organisation are supporting those young people to make sure that they don't lose sight of all of those other things that make them a young person whilst they're experiencing this cancer experience, which is awful for anybody, but even as a teenager or a young person, it just really is very, very difficult. So I'm enormously proud to work for this organisation, but I'm also amazed by the brilliance and the uniqueness of every young person that we come into contact with. So many people may not know that getting the cancer diagnosis between the ages of 13 and 24 is still incredibly rare. Of the 1,200 people or so who are diagnosed with cancer every day, only 7 of them will fall into our age bracket. That said, that's 7 young people every single day. So at the end of the week, that's 50 young people, you know, which adds already to the numbers of already in hospital who are on maintenance care and treatment. So we do still talk about quite large numbers in the end, but overall it's still incredibly rare. And so that means that if you're a young person with cancer, you can feel like one of the loneliest and most isolated people in the world. And that's why our units are so brilliant, because they're a rare opportunity to meet somebody else who is going through exactly the same thing as you at your age, sometimes from a similar background to you, sometimes experiencing similar issues at school. And this peer-to-peer support is absolute. It's just brilliant. I was once told when I first started at Teenage Cancer Trust that the best treatment a young person with cancer can receive is speaking to another young person with cancer, because they gain so much from that, from the friendships that they build. So young people need a specialist care that's unique to them in that age range, 13 to 24, because it's a unique time anyway. And most people don't realize that if you are, before Teenage Cancer Trust, if you're a young person with a cancer diagnosis, you would previously have been treated on either a children's ward if you were under 18, or an adult ward if you were over 18. And at Teenage Cancer Trust, we just realised that that is just not appropriate for somebody between the ages of 13 and 24. Your needs as a 16, 17-year-old are very different to the needs of somebody who might be much older. We've had young people before treated on geriatric wards, for example, and the same with the young, much younger age range, 13 and 14-year-olds treated with very young children and babies sometimes. Our units just bring all of that together, and when it comes to rules and regulations, if you like, we kind of throw the rule book away. And by that I mean, if you are a 19-year-old and you're in hospital, ordinarily you would only be entitled really to normal visiting hours. This is in a normal world pre-COVID. Whereas at Teenage Cancer Trust, we allow a young person to be visited by family, friends, boyfriend, girlfriends, whenever they choose to come, and they're even allowed to stay overnight with them, which would never be allowed on a normal adult ward. So it's those kind of things that really help that young person and really support their recovery, because the isolation and the loneliness is really something that we have to address. I'm so pleased to hear about the Uniphar race, a Relay for Hope. It just sounds incredible. Again, as I mentioned before, every penny that is raised supports young people living with cancer for us here at Teenage Cancer Trust. Every penny makes such a difference. So if I can explain that, just £30 will give a young person access to one of our nurses for an hour, so that they can spend that time with them, discussing their treatment plans, discussing how we can support them through this journey. And for example, £200 would fund a group get together, either virtually now or on the ward, where we will bring pizza and we will bring young people together who are experiencing something really unique for people of their age, which is this cancer diagnosis. And it's just incredible to see how much support a young person can get from speaking to another young person with cancer, somebody who can go through that journey with them together. So just those, if I could just give those two examples, just £30 for an hour of nursing support, or £200, for example, could fund a get together of young people. It just goes to show how much every penny will make a difference to the people who need it.